What's up, heathens? How y'all doing? I'm the Godless engineer, and I critically analyze apologists' claims to give you the best arguments and information so that you can stand up and use your voice. Today, we're going to be going through an Islamic video that claims to give us 5 proofs for God's existence. Ever since I became an atheist, I've wanted to find good arguments for the existence of God, because it's not that I want to be an atheist, I'm just not convinced by the evidence. So I'm constantly in a search for good arguments for God's existence. And I hope this video here today will give us some good arguments for God's existence, something for us to ponder on at least. Let's hope that they actually do bring good evidence. I'm really rooting for you. So if y'all want to fuck around and find out what these proofs for God are, then please stay tuned. So before we actually get into the video, just want to point out how the title in the very beginning of the video says rationality comes out of Islamic belief. So I'm guessing belief. I'm wondering if maybe they just mistranslated what they were trying to say or whatnot. But in any case, I guess with this being the title of it, or at least it coming across as the title, I would hope for 2 things. One, that they would support the argument that rationality is only able to be attained, or rationality only happens because of Islamic beliefs, and that the video would purely contain things that are specific to the Islamic belief system. So those are the 2 things, just given what's already been thrown up on the screen, that's what I would expect out of this video.
All of you are engaged in running your mouths, doing your business, multiplying, buying houses, cars, business, whatever you're doing.
Oh shit, we're all doing normal fucking living shit. Oh, fuck us. I like how he seems to be mad and chastising people for just living their lives at this point. I mean, he's still got more shit to say, I got it, but still, it's just kind of funny how he's mad about people just in general living their lives.
And when you're told about God, religion, life, morality, you're saying, look, I ain't got no time for that. I ain't got no time for that.
I think the vast numbers of people that are engaged in this very conversation right now is proof against the fact that we're like, we ain't got time for that. We don't got time for that. We ain't got time for that. That's just not a thing. We definitely have time for that.
Now, how do we know that there's a God? And how do we know that there's a creator?
Okay. So 5 proofs for the existence of God, or Allah. That's just the Islamic word for God, which is still an Abrahamic God. But still, I would hope that this video is proving the Islamic God and not any other God out there. It seems to be very specific to the Islamic God.
God is the cause of all beings.
God is the cause of all beings, okay? I can't wait for your evidence for this. Normally, I have on a citation fucking needed shirt, but citation fucking needed for this one. But also, I would say that this is not specific to your version of God. This would also be any other God out there that claims to be a personal creator God. So that would be like any of the other Abrahamic versions of God, and just any other God definition we can come up with that's a personal creator God. I would think that would also suffice this. So not purely Islamic, but I get where you're going with it.
An atheist must believe that the universe came from nothing and by nothing.
Is this the disembodied voice of William Lane Craig in a Muslim's video? Fuck, this guy's just everywhere, isn't he?
But surely that doesn't make sense. Out of nothing, nothing comes.
Well, so this again plays on scientific ignorance about what science says about the inflation of the universe. It's not that the inflation of the universe happened out of nothing, right? That's not what the scientific theory of it says, because the absolute nothing that is generally referenced by apologists out there is not a real version of nothing. It's not anything that can be actualized, right? It's a theoretical nothing, and it can only ever be purely theoretical. The real nothing that exists still has an energy in it, right? There's still energy fluctuations that happen in it. So it's not literally nothing. It's just the scientific version of nothing. And also, William Lane Craig there is quoting someone from the distant past. This comes from Parmenides from about 475 BC, right? So this is a long time ago. This concept was coined back when we had no idea about the quantum part of our reality. So this is totally ignorant of all modern scientific information. I don't know why Christians love to hearken back to that whole idea, because it's so out of date, it's ridiculous.
So where did the universe come from? Why does the universe exist instead of just nothing? There must have been a cause.
Yes, there must have been a cause, but that doesn't mean that cause is God. Also, there are answers to your questions, perfectly natural explanations for those, but you refuse, William Lane Craig, to accept those answers because they don't include God.
Which brought the universe into being. We can summarize our argument thus far as follows. Premise 1, whatever begins to exist has a cause. 2, the universe began to exist. 3, therefore, the universe has a cause.
Yes, this is the very basic Kalam cosmological argument. All that this argument can really get back to is the beginning of the universe, that there was a cause that made the universe inflate. I don't think that any atheists out there would suggest that there wasn't something that caused the universe to inflate. Now, what was that cause? We're not sure. But most likely it's a perfectly natural process that happened that caused it to come into existence. Just like there's a perfectly natural cause for rain. Rain is a process, the rain cycle is something that I normally mention in these instances because it's a very small scale example of what I mean when I talk about the beginning of the universe and how it's a natural process, or most likely a natural process. We used to think that God was necessary in order for rain to happen, but we wised up and we understood what happens to make it rain, and we realized that God is not necessary for that. The same thing can be said about the beginning of the universe. The beginning of the universe doesn't necessarily require God for it to inflate into existence, but people like William Lane Craig and whoever edited this video together, they think that it requires God because they make a logical leap to a supernatural being. They think that a being is needed to think about creating a universe and then thinking about making it happen.
So this cause should be beyond space and time, eternal and self-existing necessary being.
Well, so you see what I'm talking about, the whole being part right there. And I would hazard to bet that they cannot distinguish God from just the very fabric of reality. Like the fabric of reality that governs everything that happens in this universe and outside of this universe. This fabric of reality would contain the quantum realm, if you will. It would contain that. And that is where our universe would have popped into existence from, this fabric of reality. I really don't think that they'd be able to distinguish their God from just the pure fabric of reality, which is a natural thing that exists.
God is no true science.
What signs? Please enlighten me about the signs of God.
In the creations of the heavens and earth, and the alternation of the night and day, and the ships which sail the seas to people's benefit, and the water which Allah sends down from the sky, by which he brings the earth to life when it was dead, and scatters about in it creatures of every kind, and the varying directions of the winds, and the clouds subservient between heaven and earth. There are signs for people who use their intellect.
Wait, so you're literally claiming every single natural process and every single thing that humans have created themselves is proof of God. This just seems like the ontological argument or the argument from design. You don't have any evidence that suggests God is needed for any of that to happen. Not for the Earth's creation or for the buoyant force, which would be the ships and everything. You don't need God for rain. You don't need God for clouds. Like, I love how at the end here it says there are signs for people who use their intellect. Are you shitting me? People who use their intellect? No. People that use their intellect know that God is not necessary for rain to happen. We left that Stone Age idea behind in the past, okay?
There are uniform laws in nature which indicate that nothing comes by coincidence. Everything is created precisely.
Citation needed for this one, too. Where on earth does it say that things don't happen just by happenstance? I don't see any kind of evidence. I don't see any scientific evidence or empirical evidence or any kind of evidence whatsoever that would suggest that this is a fact.
And beside this perfect creation, there's a perfect sustaining system for each and everything that remain in a beautiful order rather collapsing.
What? To say that this Earth is perfectly designed or that our solar system's perfectly designed is just ignorant. Okay, it's ignorant of how our universe works. It's ignorant of how the Earth works. The fact that most of the life that has existed on this planet has been killed by this planet or in some other way would seem to indicate that this Earth is just a death trap meant to kill its inhabitants. If you were going to go the route that you're going. Now, I think that it's just how reality and this universe works, that life lives and then it dies. Like, that's just something that happens. But under your whole idea of a perfectly designed Earth just shows that you don't know anything about this Earth. Why on earth would God design this planet with tectonic plates? Why is that a design feature of this fucking planet? Do you know how many people per year die from earthquakes? About 10,000 people die annually from earthquakes. This is just from how our planet works and how planets are structured. Under the natural process of how tectonic plates work and everything like that, it's perfectly understandable that this stuff would happen. But under God designing our planet perfectly, it makes no fucking sense.
The miracle of life. Science has no explanation of where that life came from, or what causes the living body to die. They have no reason for dying of the people. If someone's heart has stopped working, replace it. Bring him back to life. You cannot control the people's life. You even don't know the reason of life or death. The reason of life and death is the one and only God.
Again, citation needed for this one. To say that we don't know what causes us to die is just ridiculous. There are several scientific papers that you can Google and find out the reasons why people die. It comes back to how flawed our bodies are in their construction, which is expected on a naturalistic view of the world. But on this whole idea that God created us, God designed our bodies, God designed life, it literally makes no sense on why he would design us to die, why he would design us so poorly. Why would we even have like genetic diseases? Why would any animal or any organism have genetic diseases? If God did design us, then he's a dick sitting up there and just snapping his fingers and giving some child bone cancer. That's what he's doing. And if we were to take your argument seriously here, but luckily we have natural explanations for life, for death. While we can't exactly explain every single little step on how life began on this planet, that still doesn't detract from the fact that every single thing that we have thought God was responsible for in the past was actually a natural process that we were later able to explain. You seem to be totally ignoring that fact. But no, obviously, God, Allah, is the only reason why things live and die here on Earth. Wait, what's the purpose of things dying for God? I haven't figured that one out yet. Maybe you'll explain it. I don't know. I should let you finish.
When there is no God, there would be no purpose for life.
So, as far as absolute purpose for everybody's life, like the one purpose that everybody has, no, we don't have that kind of purpose. But we do give ourselves purpose, in our lives. Like, we choose the purpose of our lives. If we were to try to assign some kind of transcendental purpose to life in general, it would be to just survive in whatever way that we can, however we can, indifferent to the morality of the situation. Survival would be this transcendent purpose to life, right? I mean, if you're looking for a transcendental purpose to life, that would be it. It's not to worship and praise God, or that God is the only thing that gives us any kind of purpose. We give ourselves purpose. I have multiple things that I consider the purpose of my life. For you to assert this without any kind of supporting evidence would just be fallacious. But I'm guessing that you're going to make some kind of harebrained argument for this statement. Let's see where you go with it.
The sun is there to produce energy and light. The trees are there to produce oxygen and fruit. The animals are there to produce food and clothes. The question is that who set these purposes? Who told them to do this or that? What is the purpose of our life? For rational mind, everything has a purpose, and for sure there is a purpose for life, and there is a creator who set this purpose.
This is just bullshit rhetoric. I mean, the sun was here first, and it fused atoms together, producing light for the longest time before plants even made the scene here on Earth. So to say that, the sun produces this light and energy for plants to consume and everything like that, you're just totally ignorant of the timeline of how these things actually came to be on our planet. Of course, that stems from the fact that you think that God created everything all at once, and then he created the sun so that he could feed the plants food, like the sunlight, the photons are the food for the plants on the earth. And then how are you really reducing the animal life on our planet to just, the purpose of these things are for food and clothes? Motherfucker, have you even read the creation story of the Abrahamic faiths? Because that's ultimately where Islam stems from, is the Abrahamic faith. So, I mean, they have a lot of the same characters. I mean, they even have Jesus in common. Adam and Eve were like naked. They were buck naked. And there were still animals around in the Garden of Eden. Like, there were animals everywhere, right? So it's not possible that animals were created to be belts and food. Like, there's no way that God created animals to be clothing and food when he created all of them prior to the need for clothes. This just doesn't make sense.
A human being, regardless of who they are or where they are, or what they do, will have this curiosity. They'll want to know, why am I here? How did I get here? And do I have a purpose? And if so, what is it?
Well, how did you get here? Well, your parents, one day the power went out and they made little whatever your name is. That's how you got here. Why am I here and all these other things? You can come up with several different answers for that. As far as like a definitive, absolute answer for why are you here, I don't really think that you need an answer for that. You're here. Why does there have to be, this goes back to the whole purpose thing. Why does there have to be some kind of ultimate purpose for you to be here? Like there's some grand plan and you being here is some kind of fulfillment of that plan. Why can't you just be here? Why does there have to be some kind of transcendent reason for you to be here? Why can't you just accept that you're here and live your life?
The only one who would really be able to answer that question would be the Creator himself. If there is a Creator, it would be up to him to tell us why we were created and what he expects from us and what this life is really about.
I don't really think that I need some maniacal asshole in the sky to tell me why I'm here. I don't really need to know why I'm here. I don't think that this is really a concern that you really need to be thinking about, because you are here regardless of the reasons why, other than your parents fucking each other.
Allah has shown the people from the time of Adam until right now, has shown the people what he wants from them. And it's a very simple thing. And that is that worship be for him alone without any partners.
Well, you see, that just makes him a bit selfish, doesn't it? I mean, that's the only thing that he wants. This is what I'm talking about with the whole purpose thing. They want everybody on this earth to have the same one purpose, and that's to worship God. They want everybody to forego what they think about things and have their own thoughts. Like, you know, not their own individual thoughts, but like they want to have the Islamic thoughts, the thoughts that Allah just wants us to worship him, and that's the ultimate purpose to our lives. Now that I think about it as an atheist, and I didn't even think about it when I was a Christian, but this is so ridiculous to consider that the entire purpose and reason as to why we are here is to praise God. It makes him sound insecure. It makes him sound like he's the guy that's the big dog in the yard, and he just needs all the other little guys to keep reminding him how awesome he is. And they need to keep praising him, making him feel good, because he can't feel good himself. It makes him sound emotionally manipulative and emotionally toxic, which he is, at least in the Bible and in the Quran and the Jewish Bible. Just all the Abrahamic ones are pretty much the same.
In fact, we know this life to be a test from Almighty God. That's why we're born, and that's why we die, because there has to be a beginning and an end for us to be tested on.
This just seems like an extra step, right? I mean, it seems like a game that God's playing with us. I mean, God creates people so that he can test them. But then again, God creates us specifically, and he knows what's going to happen in our lives. He, to quote the Bible or the Old Testament in general, that he stitched us in our wombs, in our mother's wombs, right? He stitched us together. He created us. He knows what we're going to do with our lives. So he creates us to live a specific life as a test. I mean, that's like a teacher creating a test that they already know the answers to in order to test themselves about how well they know the answers that they made up. How fucking dumb is that?
The miracles in the Holy Quran.
Okay. Miracles in the Holy Quran. This is fucking rich.
There are so many scientific miracles in Holy Quran from different branches of science, which all of them prove that Quran is the word of God.
There are more than 1,000 verses in the Quran which speak about science. After every scientific fact, you ask the question, who could have mentioned that in the Quran? The only reply the atheist can give you is the creator, the cherisher, the manufacturer, the inventor, the producer. This creator, this manufacturer, this producer, this inventor, we Muslims call him as Allah.
That's not the only answer that we can give. We can give the answer that you're just reading too much into it, that you're reading the Quran like you fucking read Nostradamus to predict just about any fucking event in history. I think that there's even a Nostradamus like thing that where you could, where he apparently predicted the assassination of like JFK or something. You're just reading into shit when you're reading these holy texts and producing scientific facts. It's either that or these were just things that were commonly known. They didn't know why it happened. They didn't know why these things resulted in these other things, but they just knew that this was the good practice or this is how you're supposed to do it or something like that. Like they might not have known like why those things happened, but they do know that they did happen that way. So they wrote about them in the book. If God or Allah actually did reveal these things to the people that wrote those books, why wasn't he more specific? Like in these holy books, why didn't he tell people about germs? Why didn't he tell people about atoms? Why was he so vague about these things that thousands of years later, we can Miss Cleo this shit and figure out that, oh, the invisible things that everything is made out of is atoms. Oh, that's until you learn about quarks and shit and the quantum realm and everything like that, like quantum theory and shit. Until you figure out all these subatomic particles and stuff, then that's what everything is made out of and shit. I mean, it just seems to me like you're reading things into the text and you're pulling out of it these scientific miracles and these scientific statements and stuff that only were realized much later on down the road. You're importing ideas from the future into a past text. That's just poor exegesis. Well, that's all for this video today. I gotta say, I was pretty let down. I didn't really hear any argument that was specific to Islam. I mean, at the end, you had the miracles in the Quran, which was kind of specific, but also Christians can point to their own holy books and say that, things that are revealed in here also prove my God. So kind of specific, but not really. I was very let down by the video, and all of these arguments I've heard before in various ways, just not coming from a Muslim, but all of these arguments are very generic arguments that you can use for any faith. Again, I'm just underwhelmed, I think is the word to use here. If you're similarly underwhelmed, or if you think that I'm wrong in my assertion of this video, let me know down below in the comments. I'd really love to hear what you guys think about it. And hey, while you're down there, why don't you smash that like button and subscribe if you like this kind of content. Don't forget to stand up and use your voice. Bye, heathens.